Let's talk to Heather Self, who's a tax expert and joins me from Salford. Heather, thanks very much for joining us. What are the tax implications of this for anyone who's currently receiving child benefit?
Well, first of all, if nobody in the household has an income over £50,000, then you don't need to worry about it at all. If your income is between £50,000 and £60,000, then it's complicated. And if it's above £60,000, then you won't end up with any child benefit at all. So if you know that you're going to have more than £60,000 a year, you can opt out using the Revenue's website, and that just takes away the hassle. If you're not sure, or if your income's likely to be between that 50 and 60, then you might as well stay in the system, but be aware you might have to pay some of it back later.
I think that's the worry of most people, isn't it? That they're going to receive the benefit and then be asked for it back in a lump sum. What can you do to prevent that? Is it filing a self-assessment report, return, or what?
As the previous correspondent said, you will still get paid your child benefit. I mean, frankly, I would say if you can, keep it in a separate savings pot in case you have to pay some of it back. And then if you don't, well, you'll have a nice bonus at the end of the year, but just be aware you might have to pay some back. The way it will work, if you've received child benefit and the Revenue think that you're likely to be above that £50,000 threshold, they'll ask you to fill in a tax return. Now, if you haven't had to fill in a tax return for some years, that's going to be quite a complicated thing to do. If you've got a computer, you can do it online. It's not too bad, but it's just more complexity. I think people are concerned not so much about whether this is fair or not, but the way the government's chosen to do it is almost the most complicated route they could have chosen.
What would have been easier?
Two things. Either say, well, it is a benefit, let's just make it means tested like most other benefits, and perhaps even roll it in with Ian Duncan Smith's universal credit system. That would have been a huge change and actually very unpopular with people who are perhaps earning £30,000 or £40,000 per annum, because they'd have to come into the benefit system. The other thing he could have done was just actually make it taxable. That wouldn't have got all the way to taking it off from the highest earners, but actually it would have achieved most of what they wanted to do in a much simpler way.
What about the timing of it as well? Would it have been easier perhaps at the turn of the tax year?
Yes, I can't think why on earth they've done it from January the 7th. It's been just another thing to do this Christmas to make sure you've got up to date with your child benefit as well as your tax return.
Is it necessary for people who are maybe a bit confused, will they have to talk to a tax advisor and pay for that advice just to see? Or is it simple enough once you go on the websites to understand?
If you know that you're going to earn more than £60,000, it's quite simple. I've done it myself just to do the online form. It takes about 10 minutes. I think the people for whom it's difficult are either the ones who are between 50 and 60,000 or people who perhaps run a small business and don't know yet what their income's going to be. But most of those people, they will have someone who's helping them with their accounts anyway, and it'll just be another figure to factor into that. But it does just make life more complicated when it's complicated enough already.
Heather Self, thank you very much indeed. Don't forget our website, plenty more there for you if you want to check out bbc.co.uk/news. There's lots there, lots of questions and answers, and also indicators of where you can go to get help.